JJ, you're in New York City.
I'm not. I'm in Houston.
The night before the draft, or the night of the draft. What are you thinking? Because you hadn't really talked much with the Texans. You didn't know much about the Texans. Take us through the phone call, first reactions.
Just excited. Very, very excited. I remember I was going over to congratulate Blaine Gabbert on being drafted by the Jaguars because we had trained together for the draft. So I was going over there, and my agent grabbed my coat, and he was like, "Hey, sit down." So I sat down, I got the call, and just, I mean, immediately, like I said, I hugged my parents, I hugged my brothers, my high school coaches, and then it was to the stage. And then you're trying to process all these different thoughts at once, like, man, I just got drafted. Like, you're literally processing a childhood dream coming true, all while also having to live reality in the moment, get out on stage, take photos, immediate interviews, and you're trying to talk about a city that you don't know anything about, and it's a whirlwind, but it was incredible and exciting and exhilarating.
There were a few boos on draft night. You've talked about, hey, I wanted to change those boos, make them love me. Obviously that stung a little bit, but you saw a lot of love from the city the rest of your time here, right?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it stung a little, but I would say it didn't sting. Like, I just took it as motivation. Those people don't know me. I don't blame anybody. That's their own choice. If you think they should have chosen somebody else, no problem, because we all have our thoughts on draft night. And but all I did was look at it as an opportunity, and I think it added to the story because it gave me even more reason to want to make these people proud. So yeah, it was just another beautiful part of our story.
Yeah, and then it was an odd year because it was the lockout. They only had that one day after the draft. You get to come here, and you go up and you meet Wade Phillips, and he's like, "Hey, you want to get some lunch?" And you say, "Actually, can I please look at the playbook?" Going into it, were you told by somebody, "Hey, we got to prep. You're only going to be there this amount of time. Let's get the playbook," or did you just?
No. The only thing I knew was that we had a short amount of time because it was like we were in a lockout, so you were only allowed to be in the building for a certain number of hours or whatever it was, and they were like, "Let's get some lunch," and I was just like, "Well, they just told me we only have a few hours, so can I just get the playbook?" And then I copied the playbook and sent it to all the other rookies, and like, I wanted to get a jump start because I knew that was my only chance to talk to the coaches probably until training camp. So I tried to learn the defense, and I learned from one of the best ever.
Your rookie year goes along, and then at some point a switch kind of gets flipped. Like there in December, you start taking off and things start changing. What made the change happen?
I've told the story. I don't know if I've ever told it publicly, but I probably shouldn't. But there was a moment where I realized I wasn't playing free and playing like myself. I was trying to do everything by the book. I was trying to do everything textbook. You know, take this step, put your hands here, and I forgot that football is also an art. Football is a game that you play on instinct, that you play with energy and passion and emotion. And I finally let myself just go out there and play. And I was very fortunate to have some great teammates around me and great coaches that can also harness that and point it in the right direction. Once I started to just play football, that's when I started to get good.
The pick six, do you remember what the play call was defensively?
No, I don't remember anything, man. Like, that's one of the things that's funny about today's world. You have obviously instant replay on the video board, and you have 100 instant replays on Twitter and Instagram or whatever it is after the game. I remember the replays better than I remember the play, just because I've seen it a billion times. But I do remember I almost tripped on my way into the end zone, which would have been just horrendous. But I just remember the top blowing off the stadium. And I remember thinking, like, this is everything you could ever hope for in the playoffs, first ever playoff win for this city. This is what we are trying to do. This is what we are trying to build. And it was a special moment. And then on the next drive, went out and got a sack. And going into halftime, I remember I was so damn tired just because it was like I got a pick six, we went right back out, I got a sack, and then I was like, I can't breathe. Like, I'm so happy, I'm so excited. This place is going nuts. It was awesome. I
know it was an actual game in the second half, but in retrospect, it feels like that second half was pretty much just like a party because it flipped things on its ear.
I would agree with that. It was a party. It was awesome.
I did an interview with you a while ago, and maybe things have changed since, but describe your greatest game, because if I recall, you said it was the next week. The greatest game that you ever played, you think?
The greatest game that I ever played, yeah. it probably was that Baltimore game, the second round of the playoffs my rookie year. There's a couple other ones in contention. I think the Colts Thursday night game is probably in contention there. But that Baltimore game, they were a great football team. And Marshall Yonder was one of the best guards in the game, Hall of Famer in my opinion. And I knew I had a tough battle on my hands. And I think I left that game with 10 tackles, like 4 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. Brooks Reed was eating with me, like we were running games and we were both winning. Then I won a one-on-one against Marshall, and I just felt like we were all getting back there and flying around in TFLs, and it was just, that game I felt like was probably the best game I've ever put together in terms of all-around good football game.
Tell me about that offseason, because in Texans history there was a high amount of optimism because of what had happened. With you, when you came back in 12, you looked like a different person than you did as a rookie, both on the field, just kind of physically. What did you do differently that year that kind of spurred you on? Because you took off like a comet in 12.
I mean, I had a lot of confidence because the coaches instilled that in me, the play on the field, and my teammates, everybody gave me that confidence. And obviously coming off of the way I was playing, I had confidence to go in the offseason and just let it loose and have fun and train my ass off. And I also had access. I mean, I was now, fortunately a millionaire, so I could afford to eat right. I could afford to have the best setup at home for recovery. I could afford to do everything I needed to do to put myself in optimal position for success. And then you're also fueled by that optimism in the fans. Like when you feel that energy building and when you feel the city kind of swelling in their excitement for the team, all you want to do is capitalize on that and give them something more to cheer about. And I think we all knew that. We all realized that we had such a special defense. We had such a special team. We just wanted to make the most of it. And we went 12-4, and we should have been better. I mean, we had a chance to clinch that 1 seed, and we kind of squandered that one. And then the playoffs, the Patriots played great, and we didn't play our best game.
2014 is a year that, I don't know that's ever going to be equaled, what you did that season. How did it happen? I mean, you're on offense, you're on defense, you were doing all this stuff. What was the mindset going into 14 that propelled you into what you did?
I mean, it was just, I've said it all the time, and it's the truth. Every single year I tried to create the best athlete possible and then give it to the coaches and say, here, use it however you want to use it to help our team win. And that year it meant moving all over the defensive line, playing different positions, just trying to get sacks, TFLs, batted balls, whatever. And then it meant on offense scoring touchdowns. Whatever I needed to do, I wanted to do. And I mean, it got to the point where it just kind of felt like you could do almost anything. Like when you look back on your career and you think about certain things, like the invincibility that you feel at times in football, that's the thing that you're always chasing. And I think that year, I mean, that pass from Ryan Mallett in the Browns game, like he put that ball in the perfect spot where nobody else could catch it but me. And then the fact that I actually did catch it and still got the knee down, like it was I'd look back at that play and I'm like, man, that's crazy. Like, in the time you don't think about it. I also think about in that game, I had 2 roughing the punter penalties. Like most people are cut the next day if you get 2 roughing the punter penalties. So
you almost got the ball. You almost blocked it.
So damn close. So damn close. But I knew I had to do something great to make up for it. So score a touchdown, get a sack, and TFLs. Yeah, it was good.
I'm foggy on the memory. Okay, obviously they knew you played tight end. You had that in your skill set. Did you say, hey, I can catch a pass? Did somebody else say, hey, we're thinking about using it? How'd that come about?
I mean, I always do stuff at practice just for fun. Like I catch the jugs almost every day just for fun. Like I catch balls from the quarterbacks, 1 hand, 2 hands. I just want to be an athlete. Like I want to, if I saw a receiver, if I saw a Hop catching balls 1-handed, I was like, oh, I want to catch balls better than Hop. Like, and I saw somebody running, I want to run faster than that guy. It doesn't matter who it is. You just, as an athlete, as a competitor, you want to. So I think there was part of that, and there was also, I mean, I wasn't shy either. I would tell OB, like, hey, put me on offense. Like, I'll score a touchdown. Like, you have to have a little bit of that cockiness to you to make you great, because you have to believe you can do stuff that you might not be able to do. Otherwise, you'll never be able to do it. So, yeah, I probably begged a little bit, but it worked.
Was it a one-time beg? Did you have to
chip away like an ice?
I mean, no. I mean, after the first one, then might as well do it again. I only got one batted away. It was the Jets defender. He did a great job. He got his hand right between the ball and my hands. I couldn't do nothing about it.
None of us remember that. Tell me about off the field. One of the fun things that kind of midway through your career here you started doing, throwing the ball before the game. You used to sign autographs, you used to take pictures, but it seems like you touched more people doing that and made more memories. How did that come about? How rewarding has that been for you over the years? And have you met people after the fact that caught a ball from you before a game?
Yeah. No, I always wanted a way to connect with the fans, and autographs takes a little while, and it also it's hard to get to everybody. Autograph takes a few seconds to sign. It wasn't conducive. So I was trying to find a way to interact with fans on game day, but also be able to move along and keep my warm up going. And playing catch was perfect. I had memories as a kid going to Lambeau for training camp practice, and I was trying to get autographs, and I remember how incredible it felt when I got an autograph from a guy I didn't know who he was. I'd never heard of him. I got an autograph. So I thought to myself, imagine coming to the game and being able to catch a ball from your favorite player. So I just did that, and then I knew I could create, I don't know, maybe 100, 200 memories before every single game, and that kid's going home, and they might not remember the score of the game, but they might remember that they played catch before the game with a player. So I started it, it took off, and it was also kind of a reward for people that showed up early, because I always think it's so cool. When I was a kid growing up, I went to Milwaukee Brewers games, and I wanted to catch a batting practice home run. So I was there 2 hours before the game. So I think the people that show up that early have a special connection. There's a reason, and it might be their only time ever going to an NFL game. Why not give them a memory?
What do you want to say to fans?
I mean, thank you for my life. I mean, I live the life I live now. I have some of the luxuries that I have now because I'm fortunate to have been able to play a game for a living. I mean, I literally chase around a little brown ball and get to tackle people, and they paid me money to do it. And I'm extremely thankful for that, and I have lifelong memories. I have lifelong friendships. I have a wife. I have a beautiful son because of this game. I mean, I met my wife in Houston, and I never would have met her if it wasn't for me playing NFL football in the city of Houston. So I want to say thank you to fans for showing up, for cheering, for supporting, for lifting up in tough times, for making the great times even greater than they ever could have been, for helping us all when we were down in Harvey, for everything. I mean, without fans, we have nothing. And I'm forever grateful and appreciative, and it's never lost on me that I'm just a guy chasing the ball around. You guys are what make it great.
You just brought it up. So you raised millions for the J.J. Watt Foundation through the years. You raised over 40-some million. Hurricane Harvey relief. How much have you heard back from those people that you helped post-hurricane-wise over the years?
It's one of the most, I mean, you don't want to say rewarding because it's not rewarding, but I've always said it's given me the most hope ever, because I saw everything. I saw all the people that had no connection whatsoever and no reason to help, and then I saw all the people get helped by people they've never met. And so I've met and talked to so many people over the years who were helped by it, and I've also run into people all over the world who donated or gave their time or gave their money. So it was one of the greatest symbols of humanity I've ever seen, and it gave me so much hope for humanity moving forward.
How do you top that?
I mean, I hope we never have to. I hope we never have to go through anything like that again, but if we do, I just hope everybody steps up in the same way.
Switching gears, when you go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, what do you think that's going to mean to you and your family? Because, you know, your son, you're probably going to have some more children maybe, didn't get to see you. What do you think that's going to mean? Because you're going to be up there with the best. They're going to meet some of the greatest players that ever played, and you're going to be among them.
We're a long ways away from that. I'm just enjoying right now. I'm happy to have my son out here on Sunday. I'm excited for him to see all of this, even though he won't remember it. And I'll show him YouTube clips someday. If he ever gets out of line, I'll just show him like a picture of me with a bloody nose and say, I used to be a badass.
What did I not ask you?
Oh, nothing, man, nothing. I could talk for hours and hours and days on Houston, on the people. Everybody's been so great to me, on the food, on the culture, on the fans, on all the people in this building. I mean, worked out this morning with Roland and Cap and the trainers, and I go in the cafeteria and it's still Isidro and Denise and Celise. Like it's all the same people, and it's special. It holds such an incredible place in my heart because of everyone who made it so great. And I could speak on it forever. Every single time I say Houston's like family, that is the honest truth, because that's what it feels like. It feels like family, and it feels very, very good to be back amongst family.